Hello, my friend. I hope you're living your most fearless life. If you're new to this channel, my name is Minnie Mac, and today I'd like to review with you part one of Dr. Joe Dispenza's book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. Full disclosure, I have not finished the book. I am only through part one, but I did take a ton of notes, and I'm just going to read and reflect as I go with you on these notes, and we'll see how it goes. So what we know today might not be true tomorrow. To leave the familiar life we've grown accustomed to and waltz into something new is like a salmon swimming upstream. It takes effort, and frankly, it's uncomfortable. So I know he's referring to change here. We can become rather accustomed to regular emotions, even if they're negative. If we're used to having certain negative feelings a lot of the time, then to have positive feelings, at least for me, I know sometimes I'll have thoughts like, oh, this has got to be too good to be true. There's always something attached. It's like a fear of being happy that I used to have. I'm working very hard on not doing that anymore. But I believe that's what he's referring to here. And to top it off, ridicule, marginalization, opposition, degeneration from those who cling to what they think they know, who greet us along the way. So when we do start to vibe a little bit higher and things are going better and we're more positive, people that are so used to their normal feelings, whether, positive or negative in their mind, they don't like to see this change in us because it's uncomfortable for them. Like, change is kind of uncomfortable for a lot of people. So once we start vibing higher and growing and learning, it can be difficult for others to adapt to, which can make it even more difficult for our journey, unfortunately. But I've found, for me, the best thing to do, at least at this point in my life, is to just greet them with as much empathy as possible, in knowing that, I once used to think this way as well. And while it's amazing for me that I'm growing and learning and becoming happier and more positive, if they're not quite capable of that yet, then I genuinely feel bad. And I don't take it as a personal attack anymore, at least not all of the time. I mean, I'm human. It happens. But for the most part, it's something I pity. So it's who with such an unconventional bent is willing to meet adversity for some concept they cannot embrace with their senses, yet which is alive in their minds. So yeah, we get used to these patterns of emotions and behaviors, and then we start to realize, or at least I've started to realize, that putting my energy and my thoughts are made of energy, and matter is also, for the most part, made of energy. I put my energy and my thoughts into creating a better tomorrow, and I can't completely see it or feel it or, smell it or anything or hear it yet. But I do know without a doubt it's going to happen. It's just practice. It's just going to take time. It's just a matter of time. And so Dr. Joe goes on to say that heretics and fools emerge as geniuses and saints. Not to compare myself to like the Dalai Lama or anything like that, but like Joan of Arc, Dalai Lama, they all had these visions for something that almost nobody could understand or comprehend or believe in. except for them. They believed it fully, completely in their hearts, minds, bodies, souls. And eventually it did come to fruition. So, these people were, you know, they weren't accepted by society. Their ideas, their teachings were really not accepted at the time until later on, and even more so after they have passed. So will you dare to be an original? I know I will. So like I was saying, thoughts are energy. Matter is energy. And Dr. Joe says where you direct your attention is where you place your energy. We are made up of like 0.0001% physical substance. So is defining my reality by what I perceive with my senses the biggest limitation that I have? Well, until deep diving into things, books like this, namely, but also YouTube channels, Clark Kegley and all that. Yeah, those were my biggest limitations because I continuously just accepted my present reality, my present circumstances, and sure, could daydream here and there about a better tomorrow, and once in a while get a stroke of luck, but go, I know it's just going to go back down again. Of course it's going to go back down again if that's how I keep thinking. If I just keep accepting this is what it is, this is my life, there's nothing I can do about it, well, why not? What is so different from me or you or Bill Gates or Jenna Marbles or whoever? What is so different? We are all humans. Like, it's the power of this that we really need to tap into, and it's through the heart, in my opinion anyway. So by the end of this book, we're supposed to be able to enter into the operating system of the subconscious mind and make major changes where pre-programming exists. I mean, pre-programming from our upbringing, from school, from society. Outside influences have all kind of pre-programmed us in a way, but we can like reprogram our minds. It's completely possible. I'm kind of glad that I haven't read all of this yet, to be honest with you. I think it's cool that we're gonna break this down together in two parts, the way it was meant to be digested. So we have 3 brains. It goes from thinking to doing to being. Eventually, with this book, we should be able to jump from thinking to being and having our mind and our body work as one, right? So when how you appear is who you are truly free. So Dr. Joe goes on to say that mind and matter are intrinsically related because subjective mind produces measurable changes in the objective physical world. At the subatomic level, energy responds to your mindful attention and becomes matter. I didn't bother to take a ton of notes on the science-y stuff because for me, it's not that important. I have personal results that I'm not ready to share yet that I've been working on that can completely attest to this. And as I said, I haven't even finished the book yet, but I already kind of knew about this prior to getting into this particular book. And I've been practicing meditating and manifesting and other tricks. And I do have really exciting, provable results. I'm just not quite ready to make that video yet, but I will share them with you. So I breezed through the sciencey stuff. I didn't write down very much of it. If it interests you, it's proof, right? It's completely possible and not just like hippies rambling about peace, love, and light, man. Like it's legitimate. With willful intention, sincere application of knowledge, and repeated daily efforts, you can use your mind as the observer to collapse quantum particles and organize a vast number of subatomic waves of probability into a desired physical event called an experience in your life. Little bit of sciencey stuff, but not much. Your conscious mind has an effect on energy matter. Because your consciousness, is energy, and energy has consciousness, you are powerful enough to influence matter because at the most elementary level, you are energy with consciousness. You are mindful matter. You see? The quantum field doesn't respond simply to our wishes or thoughts. Daydreaming. Aquarians are great at it. Our heads and our hearts have to coordinate to send the same signal. So this is where high vibration energy comes into play, right? Love, gratitude, all of this. You have to do this with intention. So, I have been a daydreamer since I can remember having thoughts. And it really hasn't served me in any way, shape, or form in my life other than, distracting me from an unpleasant task or something. But now that I understand thoughts are energy, matter's energy, and I've done some experiments, it's true. It takes a lot of dedicated practice and a long time. You've really got to be in this, but if you pick something small to do it with, and once you get that result, because you will, then you're not going to want to stop. Like you're going to, okay, let's pick this thing and let's pick that thing, and it's going to keep working. As long as you're doing it right, as long as you're doing it with intention. The key to all of this is to try to stay out of the lower vibrational energies. Because like he said, you've got to be doing this with your head and your heart, your mind and your body. Everything's got to be in this. Not daydreaming with intention, manifesting. And if you are carrying a lot of guilt or shame or fear or anger, it confuses the signals. If your intentions and desires haven't produced consistent results, you've probably been sending an incoherent mixed message into the field. Thoughts are energy. So if you're thinking guilty, thinking angry, thinking fearful, it's gonna muddle with that, and you're not going to be able to manifest, and you're going to say, oh, it's all malarkey. Ashley's off her rocker. It's all malarkey. Minnie Mac's off her rocker. Like, I'm sorry if you have those thoughts, because if you do this, it will work. You gotta just be all in. Thoughts are the language of the brain, and feelings are the language of the body. So when they oppose the field, they won't respond in a consistent way. Gratitude is more than an intellectual thought process. You have to feel your new reality at this very moment. So what I do, and at the very, very least, first thing in the morning, and then however many times throughout the day, I can't, like, I've got to say at least 24 times a day, I manifest. And when I do it, I don't think I can't wait for this to happen, or life's going to be so good when this goes this way. When I think about it, I become so grateful that it's already happening. Physically, no, I can't see it, I can't hear it, I can't touch it. But if I close my eyes and open my heart, I can be so grateful for something that hasn't happened in this physical realm yet, that it brings me to tears. And I know it will come to fruition. I know it. So I practice gratitude for things that aren't yet in my life, but I know that they're on their way. And that's what this is about. So the question at the heart of this book is, why don't we send out a signal that will produce a positive outcome for us? How can we change so that the signal we send matches what we intend to produce in our lives? Well, you have to just look at it like it's happening, not like it's about to happen or it's going to happen. When you manifest on it and you meditate on it already existing in your head and in your heart. And it will make waves in your life, I promise. So chapter 2 is about overcoming your environment, your external environment. If you don't insist on thinking and feeling equal to the circumstances in your life, you're just going to reaffirm that particular reality. You're going to stay stuck. Your outer reality, your external influences, affect your inner reality. Your outer reality, your external influences, affect your inner reality. Routine makes your past your future. So the input remains the same, therefore the output does too. So the more you fire the same circuits by reacting to your external life, the more you'll wire your brain to be equal to your personal world. You become neurochemically attached to the conditions in your life. In time, you begin to think inside the box. And it is like an addiction to these feelings, right? Not that you're addicted to feeling sad or disappointed or scared or angry or any of that, but likely if you grew up feeling those feelings a lot, then they are comfortable. They're familiar. Maybe not comfortable, but they're familiar. And happiness can rub us the wrong way, unfortunately. You aren't the victim of some mysterious, unforeseen force that has placed you in this perspective loop. You are the creator of the loop. The good news is, since you created this loop, you can also end it. So in order to create a new personal reality, a new life, we must create a new personality. We strongly connect our personalities to our external environment. So if we say things like, oh, I'm always broke, I'm always down on my luck, well, then we tend to be that way. But if we can think and act greater than our present circumstances and environment, then it's going to take us to wherever we want to go. Like really, the sky is the limit. Your mind is your limit. Your heart is your limit. Just get into it. The greatest individuals in history were unwaveringly committed to a future destiny without any need for immediate feedback from the environment. No sensory or physical evidence needed. They simply reminded themselves daily that the reality they focused on, their minds were ahead of their present environment because the environment no longer controlled their thinking. They were truly ahead of their time. Learning is making synaptic connections, instructions to get the body involved. Repetition, repeating will help our brains change. Your body takes orders from your consciousness, and there are a ton of examples provided in this book about scientific exercises and experiments done to prove all of this. Like I said, I'm just going to breeze past a lot of it because I feel like either this resonates with you or it doesn't. Like this is something that's made sense in my heart for quite some time, long before I even knew about I don't even know about the quantum physics and quantum realities, but I know there's science to back this stuff, and I never needed it. So I'm going to pay a lot of attention to it. Chapter 3 is about overcoming your body. And he says, when feelings become the means of thinking, or if we cannot think greater than how we feel, then we can never change. Change is to think greater than how we feel. To change is to act greater than the familiar feelings of the memorized self. So think about it this way. There's evolution, right? Tons of species have grown or lost hair due to their environment, or chameleons can change their colors to blend in. Like, these are all things that species have done to adapt. So why can't we use our brains, our thoughts, to ascend? I'm not even sure if ascend is the right word. I don't even know what word I'm really looking for here. But to use the power to have a greater tomorrow. We can signal our genes to rewrite our future. Reliving emotions from our past, though, are going to bring us to a predictable end. Anger, depression, anxiety, all those stressful feelings, they also create disease. Like, there's so much proof to back it. But if the brain upgrades its hardware to look like the experience has physically occurred, i.e., when I bring myself to tears meditating and manifesting, the body changes its genetics and it's biologically showing evidence that this has happened. It doesn't matter if you see it in this third dimension. It does scientifically happen. So when you have thoughtfully rehearsed your future reality until your brain physically changed to look like it has had the experience, when you've emotionally embraced a new intention so many times that your body is altered to reflect that it has had the experience, hang on, because it's in this moment the event finds you, and it will arrive in a way that you least expect it, which leaves no doubt that it came from your relationship to a greater consciousness, so that it inspires you to do it again and again and again. And that is a direct quote from the book. I know I've been teasing you with things I've manifested that I'm not ready to share. Maybe I'll never share. Who knows? I probably will, though. But that's a direct quote. Once you can just somewhat grasp this, at least entertain it, I guess is a better way to say it. Entertain the idea of this and practice it like a hobby or something. Eventually you're going to catch on and you're going to clue in that it works. And you're going to get excited and you're going to want to spread the word and you're going to change your life and it's going to feel so great. I promise. Chapter 4, Overcoming Time. So, traumas can be burned into our brains and easily become like conscious, memorized responses. And that's what we were talking about. Well, what Dr. Joe wrote about and I was speaking about earlier was the addiction to the chemicals created by familiar feelings. Doesn't even necessarily take a trauma to trigger an emotional response, though. Like, think about traffic jams, coffee shortages, pet peeves, annoyances. They can all lead to a temperament if you feed into and fuel these emotions. I'm guilty of it. It happens. Like, we all slip. But I swear to you, the more you practice this, the easier it becomes to greet everybody with a high vibration energy of like peace, love, and understanding. Hey, man. It's gonna make such a difference. I promise you. Just try. Okay? Create different states of being. When we worry about the future, it's based on the constructs of our past. When this occurs, the body does not know the difference between the actual event transpiring in the reality, the now, the present, and what we're entertaining mentally because of what's happened in the past. We're all guilty of this. Come on, right? But then we're bringing unnecessary negativity to a situation that may or may not be neutral in that moment. And you're like tipping the scales to negative because you're programmed to feel negative feelings. Don't deny yourself the novelty of a wonderful future outcome. Don't deny yourself the novelty of a wonderful future outcome. Dream it, manifest it, meditate on it, live it. What do you have to lose? Like, why not greet everything you can with as much positivity and love as you can? Why not? What do you have to lose? And if you're consistently met with something that lets you down, then cut it off. Get rid of it. If it's not serving you any positive purpose, what are you doing with it? You can make it better. You have this choice. It's all a choice. It's up to you. I'll say it again. Don't deny yourself the novelty of a wonderful future outcome. So if you've stayed with me this far, would you mind terribly hitting that subscribe button and or the like button if you haven't already done so? I'd really appreciate it. And if it turns out you don't like my content, well, you can always unsubscribe later. Anyways, on to chapter 5, survival versus creation. This is the final chapter of part 1. It says, no creature can avoid the consequences of living in a long-term emergency situation. So you need to center yourself and stop expecting the worst so that your immune system can stop you from getting sick. Like he said earlier, anger, stress, anxiety, all of these things breed disease. And I've spent many, many hours and many, many years focusing on my health simply in my mind. And the longer I do it, the better I've gotten at it, and the less often I fall ill. I don't remember the last time I had a cold. Total honesty, it's been... The last time I remember being sick was like 6 years ago. Anyway, semantics. If you are constantly stuck in this routine of like panic and fear and stress and whatever, all these negative feelings like fight or flight, it's going to steal the energy that your immune system needs. Negativity runs so high because we're either living in anticipation of stress or we're re-experiencing through a thought or memory. Obsessing over the past. Cut that shit out, please. So, most of our thoughts and feelings are driven by that strong hormone that is meant for like survival, not surviving somebody saying something negative to us or rejecting us. Or we don't need our survival instincts to kick in for that stuff. We need our survival instincts for the real, you know, food, clothing, shelter. That's what matters. That's what's key. That's what our survival instincts are there for. They're not for living in the past, you know, dwelling on what we've seen, what we've lived through. That'll be another video for another day. But believe you me, I've lived and I've seen and I've felt. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing today. So I feel like I can speak to this. And I hope you hear me. So when our stress response is triggered, we focus on three things. And they are of the highest importance. The big three. They're so important that my roommate's dog is speaking up for the first time during this entire video. Miss Pepper. Number one is your body. Your body must be taken care of. And you know, I do have my vices. I did say that I was going to quit drinking alcohol, and I did for quite some time. Now I do have a drink or two here and there. But caffeine, that was something that needed to leave my life. Alcohol, I don't abuse. I don't have, you know, I don't miss work. I don't have awful feelings in the morning when I wake up. I'm okay to drink when I'm not in an extremely toxic environment. That was when I needed to not be drinking and stay focused and centered. I don't regret giving up meat. I have always taken care to make sure that I don't get too out of shape. You know, I do my stretches. I used to do a lot of yoga and a lot of exercises, but lately I feel like I work physically hard enough that I don't need to be doing that. I also walk a lot. I do have my vices, but I am very mindful for the most part of my body. I try to get a good night's sleep. I spend a lot of time on my mental health, meditation. I make time for loved ones, friends, family. You know, it's all a balancing act, and it's just a constant dance that you got to fall in love with, because it's beautiful and it's ever changing. You're always learning new choreography. Anyway, so that's how I take care of my body, or at least part of it. Number two is the environment. Like your external environment, you know, lots of us have or have had things going on at home, number one, that don't serve us well. They aren't positive for us. They're negative and they're a burden. And why are you really choosing to accept that? Or why aren't you doing anything about it? I feel like I'm coming across as kind of like pushy and judgy right now, but I'm shifting gears and it feels amazing, and I just want you to experience that too. Like, that's the whole point behind this, is I don't want you to have to go through the stuff that I've gone through to get to where I am. I just want to help you get there now, you know, and then you don't have to go through more traumas or experiences or whatever you want to call them. So yeah, when there are nasty things going on in my external environment, like my last job, I quit. And when people don't treat me with the love and respect that I've earned and I know I deserve, I quit them too. And it is as simple as that. You can complicate it if you choose to, and that's your choice. It's all a choice. But only love and support and constructive criticism and all that is welcome in my life. I won't ever settle for anything less. I hope you don't either. So number 3 is time. How much of it do I have to use in order to evade this threat? These threats. Withdrawals from our addictions to our regular negative feelings because we think that's what makes us who we are. I can completely identify with that. And in fact, I kind of want to argue it in a way because my negative past experiences do make me who I am. I wouldn't be here today were it not for them. But it means I don't have to stay stuck there. I don't have to continue to relive it. I don't have to continue to suffer over it. And I don't. I seek the positive. I seek, what did I learn out of this? What's my takeaway so that I didn't have to feel it again? We're all human and we all go through shit, but we don't have to completely be our past. Of course, it sculpted who we are today, but I don't live there, nor should you. So back to like the survival stuff, we don't need to survive trolls on the internet. We do need to survive if we're getting too close to the edge of a cliff, though. And our egos are under such a constant stress that this me first complex is like, it's like we're fighting to survive all of the time. And it's so unnecessary. We pay so much thought and mind and energy to negativity that doesn't have to be anywhere near us. And if we keep it near us, it's by choice. You don't have to have it. You don't have to do it. I promise you. I'm living, breathing proof. Whatever you focus on is and becomes your reality. If our thoughts can make us sick, might then they also not be able to make us well? To change any aspect of your life, body, environment, or time, you must transcend it. You must leave behind the big 3: body, environment, time. All these things we have dedicated so much effort to. Bye. In order to control the big 3, we have to switch into creation mode. So when we are in creation mode, we're in creativity mode. We're activating the brain's creative center of the frontal lobe, and that performs 3 essential functions. One is metacognition, and that's becoming self-aware to inhibit unwanted states of mind and body. If you want to create a new self, you first have to stop being the old self. I don't know if you want to put a rubber band on your wrist, or if you're like me, you just have faith that you're eventually going to catch yourself more and more on your own. When you get into a negative frame of mind, snap out of it. Do your best. It doesn't hurt to think positively. Doesn't mean you have to forgive the unforgivable, but you can be grateful for a lesson learned. There's a way to be positive about everything, I promise you. We can self-reflect and therefore choose how we think, act, and feel. Who, what, and where we are all a product of how we think of ourselves. So if we can observe our thoughts, whether or not they are true, if we want to give them any more energy, like so many times, at least for me, I have gotten like just such a heavy feeling of anxiety thinking about what other people may or may not think of me. And then I start to think why they would probably think negatively of me. And then I get attached to that. And then I'm like, oh, they do. They must think negatively of me. And then I bump into them and it's nothing but happy greetings and positivity. And they're so excited to see me. And I realized that I just cooked up all of this nonsense in my head. And this happens far more often than not, at least for me, that I think the worst. And it's never right. So get out of that body environment time. Get out of all of that, because it's learned helplessness, it's memorized suffering, and it's unfucking necessary. Stop firing and wiring negativity, please. For you, just for you. Like you deserve it. Give that to yourself, please. Number 2. Creating a new mind to think about new ways of being. To fantasize, ask yourself, what would it be like to? What is it a better way to be? Or what is a better way to be? Excuse me. What if I was this person living this life in this reality? Who in history do I admire? And what were their admirable traits? It's so easy for me as an Aquarius and as a writer all my life to get lost in fantasy. So for me to like teach this, I don't know how to do it. But whatever inspires fantasy in your brain, just, if it's a business or a partnership or traveling, whatever you want to do with your life, whatever you're passionate about, whatever sets your soul on fire and brings a smile to your face, when you daydream about it, daydream as if it's happening. Feel it as if it's already in existence. And it will come to fruition, I promise. Which leads to number 3, making thought more real than anything else. No mind, no body, no thing, no time. Just a pure, conscious moment. Becoming one with this subconscious reality begins rewriting programs and reconditioning the body to a new mind. I really, after filming this, am so happy that I haven't finished the book. I'm glad that we're going to do this part 1 and part 2 together. Like I said, I breezed over a lot of there's a ton of studies that Dr. Dispenza brings up. There's a ton of science behind a lot of what he says. A lot of what I I read to you was direct quotes this evening. And there's a ton more to this. So I whether or not you like this review, I still recommend you check out the book for yourself. And be it if you're a reader and you want to read it or get it on Audible or whatever you need to do, I'm still going to do part 2 for you and for me. But I'm glad we're doing it this way. And I thank you ever so much for your love and your support and for your time. And I really hope that this resonated with you, and I hope you feel the same way I do about all of this, which is amazing. I'm wishing you peace, love, and light, and bye for now.